It is this. The major issue regarding matters getting to court is that police officers are not referring allegations of rape to the Crown Prosecution Service. We have a charge-out rate of 1.5%. Can I support the Chair on that? And I think this is such a serious issue, and when we talk about figures in respect of rape and serious sexual offending, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors by everybody in respect of this. The major issue regarding why cases do not get to court, yes, there's issues with delays, is because the police officers do not refer, especially rape allegations, in any significant number to the Crown Prosecution Service. Would you agree with that? That's where the major problem is. We have a charge-out rate of 1.5% for rape.
I think there are complex issues involved in relation to rape itself and the prosecution of rape. It is very much for the Crown Prosecution Service and policing to work together to vastly improve the number of charges going forward. I remember a time when the actual CPS and policing used to actually sit in the same room and work together, which made the issues of discussing difficult cases far more easy than it is today. Now, I have worked with, and my staff on inspections are seeing people who are absolutely committed to getting as many rapists before the courts as possible. So I really don't think this is a misogyny issue at all.
Well, can I just say, Mr. Cook, that I actually think that, and I'm sorry to put this bluntly to you, you're a man who's always spent a lot of time, you spent over 30 years in the police force, and some of your answers here today appear to be not an impartial assessment of the police, but actually a defence of the police. We're asking you questions here. 1.5%. Forget about if what Forster should be doing is being sat in the same room as a lawyer, then it doesn't take a genius to work that out, and the fact that that's not happening is outrageous. I get back to my point. It is this. The major issue regarding matters getting to court is that police officers are not referring allegations of rape to the Crown Prosecution Service. We have a charge-out rate of 1.5%. In my view, I've looked for all sorts of reasons for this. I agree with what the Chair has just said. There has to be an attitude of misogyny within the police force that is allowing all of these cases not to be prosecuted. All of these victims who are coming forward are not even getting the chance to have their case assessed by the Crown Prosecution Service. And I'd just like to know what your recommendation is, what you think we should do to change that. Because, let's be blunt about it, not all of those cases are, people are not coming and lying or not telling the truth. It is because the police are taking a deliberate attitude to female victims of crime. Isn't it? It's got to be.
No, look, I'm not being defensive about policing. I accept fully, and have accepted for some time. I just mentioned the words, it's disgrace has taken so long to get to court and not enough people are being prosecuted, okay? So this isn't about my independence or not. This is about a very complex issue that policing are doing the best, in my view, to improve. It is not happening quickly enough. I'll give you one example. Operation Soteria is the approach that's being taken in some forces around the country as a pilot. Being led by Avon and Somerset, where we are seeing increased numbers of charges in relation to rape as a result of focusing on the offender. Changes in relation to how rapes are investigated, such as being less intrusive for victims, so victims feel more comfortable going through the whole process, are essential. And the way it's done at the moment and what policing needs to do to actually be as intrusive as it is in relation to victims, in my view, is quite clearly wrong.
How do you think the police treat vulnerable victims who come forward? So victims who may have substance addictions, may have mental health issues, may have all sorts of challenges in their life, because those are the people, the most vulnerable, who are less likely to get their case in court. So not only do we have a situation where, in my view, there is rampant misogyny in the consideration of these matters, but secondly, if you are vulnerable, if you have challenges, if you need support, you are not going to get your case even referred to the Crown Prosecution Service.
That's just not true.
That's not true. You are saying that's not true and that's not happening.
No, I'll refer you to my previous force. There an awful lot of work was done with the specialised unit working with sex workers and drug users who were reporting sexual offences, and we're having good success in relation to bringing those cases forward. So that happens. That's not just a Merseyside police issue, that's an issue across the country. Is it as good as it should be? No. But to say that no sex worker, no vulnerable person is going to get their case to court just isn't true.
Well, tell me this, Mr. Cook, 1.5% charge-out rate, what should the charge-out rate be?
I can't put a figure on what that charge rate should be. We all know it should be more than that. We all know that victims should be getting justice far more often than they are in relation to rape and serious sexual offences. But I can't possibly put a number on that.
I'll ask you one final question in respect of the balance to be struck in resource terms between offences of high harm such as rape and the policing of other matters such as theft and burglary. What's your assessment of how police forces throughout the country are balancing those responsibilities?
I think it's always a difficult choice where limited resources are placed. As we know, demand's increased on policing. I recently did a spotlight report that identified that the outcome rate for the likes of burglary and robbery were far too low. The outcome rate overall for crime, so the charge rate overall for crime, was 15% in 2014. It's now 5%. So there's been significant reductions in people being charged across all different types of offences. Balancing those different difficult decisions on a daily basis is for chief constables and police and crime commissioners to do. What can't be denied is that irrespective of what the offence is, in my view, that charge rate is too low.
Okay. I mean, this is a very pitiful state of affairs, and can I just ask you to leave us with this? What is it that you are telling the police, or what is it that you are recommending in terms of, we talked about rape and serious sexual offending, but other offences, what are you recommending? Because it's either incompetence, there's got to be some reason for this. The public are being ill-served by their police force at this moment in time. And so you are the inspector. There must be some recommendation you can tell me now that's going to improve the situation. Or is it just having better people who know what they're doing in place?
There are numerous issues in policing at the moment, as we're aware. One is, firstly, shortage of detectives. Secondly, there is a very inexperienced workforce and inexperienced supervision. Let me give you an example of that. In 2014, 10% of officers had under 5 years service. In 2024, that will be 38%. So that experience isn't as it was 10 years ago. So there are significant issues around police tradecraft, about experience, professionalism, about good supervision in relation to policing. There's also the issue of the 20,000 uplift, which is a good thing for policing and is welcomed by policing, but that brings its own challenges alongside that as well. We have made numerous recommendations, as I say, 43 in relation to vetting, significant number of recommendations in relation to rape, but there is no magic bullet for this. Policing is at a time, a very difficult time, a time of, some would say, crisis in relation to its ability to ensure that the public are kept as safe as we would like them to be. It is a difficult time.
Okay, I'm going to just bring in Marco.